Hello everybody and welcome back to my garage Zero to Hero. Alright, so it's a little bit later in the morning and yeah, as you can see, Grandma has returned from her holidays over the weekend. So I've got a little bit of news. We do have got a new project vehicle, first of all, in the shop. That is the money that we just picked up, part of the payment for that vehicle. And also we did receive an extra $5,000 for the work we did on the DeSoto for the client. So which gives us a little bit under $43,000 in our pocket. So yeah, as you can see, we are gonna a little bit of changes gonna happen over the next few episodes. So Grandma has actually put her house in the market because she is going to be moving to an old age home. So it turns out that the house is just a little bit too much work for her to maintain and to keep it clean. Obviously, she's an old lady and she needs to start, taking care of herself by not working too much in a house and keeping the house clean all the time. So for that reason, she's going to sell the house, and that means we are going to have to start looking for our own place to stay. So yeah, I'm definitely going to start looking around and see what I can find, because obviously we've got a rather decent business going on now. So speaking of which, we need to get back to the shop because we need to start working on our 69 Impala, getting that thing put back together. And then obviously we're gonna start having a look at the new customer vehicle. So yeah, let's head over to the shop and I'll give you guys a rundown of what's going on there. Alright, and we are back at the shop. So yeah, as you guys know, we did paint the 69 Impala in the last episode, so that has been actually brought back to our shop already. So this thing, actually the paint job turned out quite nice. It is definitely looking a little bit better. So now what I have done over the weekend is I went through all of the suspension parts we had of the DeSoto and also the suspension parts that was on the car. And I kind of just took all the best parts and put the suspension back together. And as you can see now, we don't have any more rusty parts under our vehicle. So everything is kind of sorted out. And we also did get all of the wheels mounted from the DeSoto. So these tires and rims are in a much better condition. But yes, as you can see, we also have got a new customer vehicle, which is a 1965 Ford Mustang yet again. So this is actually a guy named TC's car, and this is a project vehicle that has been kind of abandoned, so he wants us to just finish it up for him by getting his thing up and running, getting all of the missing body parts. So we're probably going to have to go and look for some parts at the junkyard for this thing. I don't think we're going to be able to find brand new parts for this, but we might have to see what we can do about this vehicle. But as you can see, this has got some rather decent looking wheels on it. But he did send over a set of new wheels, so now I was thinking of maybe giving him a little bit of a discount and yeah, buying those wheels off of him for the Impala over here. Those might actually fit the car very nice. But we do have some new wheels and tires that needs to go onto the Mustang, as well as we did get the engine for it, but the engine is incomplete. As you can see, we still need to do a couple of things to this. By the looks of it, it's just the carburetor and air filter, but we'll have to see if that is going to be everything we need on this engine. So yeah, this is something we can get into once we are almost ready for it. We need to dig into this car and see what other problems there are. So obviously we need a lot of body panels, so I'm going to have to start sourcing those. And we're also going to need to do a little bit of suspension work. Not really much. I haven't seen much wrong with this suspension at the front. So around the back, we'll probably start stripping everything off, taking the wheels off at first, and then just checking everything. So I already see there's a rusty brake line, and then we'll obviously take off all the wheels and all the brake parts and just check that stuff out. We are definitely missing a couple of trim pieces on the car, like the rear bumpers, the taillights, the windscreen, the rear glass. So yeah, there's definitely quite a bit of work to be done to this thing, and we're going to have to source a lot of parts. So there's no dashboard in the car, for example. So yeah, that is quite a bit of a project, but I think for now what we're going to do is we're going to start with our 69 Impala. I'm going to obviously remove the old interior parts, and we're going to start installing the new interior parts. As I've mentioned, we've got a set of red interior bits and pieces. So this is all going to go in the car. We're going to see if we can get everything installed. And then, yeah, hopefully this car is going to be fully functioning again, and we can start using this as our daily again, instead of driving the old Ram truck up and down. So, yeah, depending on the time we have for this episode, after stripping the Mustang down, we'll probably start stripping the old Lada Wagon finally, because that car has been, yeah, waiting for quite a while now, since we have actually been supposed to start fixing it up for Grandma. Especially now with Grandma that's going to be moving away, we are definitely going to have to try and get that car sorted out so that we can give her her share of the money, of the profits. So yeah, we're going to just finish up this Impala first. So I think let's just take all of the old interior parts out of this thing first of all. So we do have got the dashboard and also this gear lever, which is a little bit tricky to get out. So I did figure out that the gear stick actually mounts to the center console that was supposed to go in the car. You can see the example over here. So this is the same gear stick as that one. It's just this one is mounted to the center console, which is going to give it a little bit of a better look to it. Alright, so I think next up we're going to take off this old dashboard, get this out of the way. And then we're going to have to probably take off all of the parts attached to this dashboard. So the steering column, let's just take this off. This needs to go onto our new dashboard. And then we are going to obviously pry out the rest of the parts out of this dashboard, like the cluster. So the cluster is still in very good condition. It still works. So we can pop that into our new dashboard over there on the table. And then we also need to take this trim out of the old dashboard. And then we'll just get that fitted onto there. And then this dashboard can be sent over to the scrapper again. This is definitely way too far gone. So we've got a much better dashboard. As I said, these parts aren't brand new. They are secondhand, so there's definitely some wear and tear on them, but not too bad. So I think what I'm going to do is we're going to start with the headliner first. So let's get over here. We're going to grab the headliner first of all. So this actually bolts down to the ceiling of the car. Just got a single bolt for that, so that is in place. And then we're going to grab our carpet, which we are going to also bolt down. So this has also got two bolts to it. So the one is over there, and there's another one over there. And now with that installed, we can get our rear seat into place. So let's grab our rear seat first of all. We're going to slide it back there and just come and bolt it down. Let's go around to this side. We're going to open this door as well. All right, let's bolt that down as well. That is looking very good. All right, so next up we can get our center console dashboard also installed. All right, so it's a little bit tricky finding the right spot for this. All right, so there it goes. We'll bolt it down there. I'm going to go over to the other side. There's another bolt on that side. Just bolt it down there. And then we'll grab our dashboard. Going to get this into position. And let's just be sure to bolt it down. Just like that. Alright, good stuff. So that is basically majority of the interior parts. So we should probably get our steering column fitted now. Alright, so the steering column just bolts down at the bottom of the dashboard like that. And then we'll quickly pop these door panels in. Before we actually do the door panels, I just remembered we need to still mount the small windows, which we have over there, are nicely new chromed windows. Alright, so this one should go in here. We're going to just bolt it down just like that. Let's go and grab the other small window, which I just saw over here somewhere. There it is. Okay, let's just get this mounted first before we get those door panels on the inside mounted. Right, so that goes over there. Let's just bolt it down first. Right, now we can start putting these door panels in. Right, so this has got a bolt there, and it's also got another bolt down, a little bit further down. You'll see it a bit better on the opposite side now. So let's get that into position first of all. So we'll bolt it down there, and that one was for the window, so that is sorted out. Right, so next up we can do our door panels. So this is our passenger side door panel. It's also got two bolts just like that. Alright, let's grab the other one. Alright, so let's get that one into place. Alright, so just like that, this car is already starting to take shape. Let's get our passenger seat in the car. So let's see, there are 4 bolts on the seat. Just gotta get to all of them. Right, so passenger seat is in. Now it's just our driver's seat over here. Let's just get all of these bolts tightened down as well. Right, so that's basically the interior sorted now, so went quite fast. Now obviously we've got all of our trim pieces to do. This is also going to be scrapped. That is definitely way too much worn. Alright, so let's start with our trim pieces. Obviously we can do the windshield and the rear window first, so that'll be giving us a good idea of what to expect with regards to the glass on the car. And then what I'm going to do is quickly we're going to do the window tint on this rear glass. And these small windows at the back, we're also going to get those tinted up. So let's just lean in here for this. And there we go. We've got the windows tinted. Also, that is definitely going to add to the car's look a bit. Alright, so now we can start with our trim pieces. So I believe everything actually just pops into place. We might just have to quickly fit this one headlight to the front grille, because obviously we had to have this headlight re-chromed. Alright, so that can go in there. Yeah, this might be easier if we do this on the actual car. So let's just get this popped into place. Alright, so I believe we need to do the front bumper first, actually. Alright, so let's grab the front bumper first and try that again. So the front bumper will go on, and then we just need to bolt it down, which I can't seem to find the whole toolbox again. So I managed to lose the toolbox. Okay, there it is. Alright, so let's get our front bumper bolted down over there. And over there, we're gonna also grab the rear bumper here. We're gonna just pop this into place as well, because I think everything actually mounts to the bumpers, and from there on they just pop into place. So there's our rear bumper into place, just like that. And now we should be able to get these parts mounted again. So let's grab our grille firstly. Alright, so the grille just snaps into place, and then we just need to come and do up all of those screws. I think the one we did already, so that is good. Yeah, there we go. We can barely see it there. Alright, so that is sorted out. Right, then we'll just keep slapping parts on. We've got the lower grille for the front over there. This is the roof trim for the driver side, so that goes over there. So this car is definitely starting to come together. Alright, so this one goes over to the passenger side, so that should snap into place there. And then we've got all our wheel arch trims. So there's the one for the front left. This one is for the back right, or the rear right rather. So that goes there. And this one is for the rear left. Snap that onto there. And this is our front right arch trim, just like that. And then we should probably get all of these mounted. So this is for the rear left. So these are our 4 indicators on the corners. Right, so that one is for the rear right. So let's get this one into position over there. And then, yeah, we've got the small ones for the front as well. So this one can go over there. And same with this one. It's just the front left. Perfect. Right, so let's grab our taillights quickly. Come and pop this taillight in this side. We'll grab our taillight for the left. Just like that. Now this is a very small part. We definitely need to be careful with this because this can easily get lost. Alright, but there it is. That's our trunk lock into place. Alright, so next up we're going to start with the fender trim. So we've got our right fender trim here. So that goes onto there. And this is the quarter trim for the right hand side, just like that. Alright, let's see what is next here. This is the left fender trim. Right, so these things are a little bit mixed up. Right, so what is this? This is the right hand rocker trim for the passenger side. So that will fill up that gap nicely over there. And we're going to grab the left hand side one. We're just going to get this into position and snap it in just like that. Right, so we've got our door handles laying here. So we'll do these parts a bit later. As well as that one. Right, so what else we got here? We've got the door trim. Yeah, let's grab the door trim for the passenger side. Just like that. And the one for the left quarter. And then the last one will be for the driver side door. And just like that, all of that trim is installed. So now let's quickly grab the door handles. So these also just pop into place, just like that. And let's get this door handle. Perfect. And now it's just our little door mirror that goes onto here. We can close our trunk. We are done with this car as soon as we get this front emblem fitted. Just like that. And that is what the 1969 Chevy Impala looks like when it has been completed. So yeah, I'm actually quite excited to start driving this thing daily and getting this vehicle, yeah, definitely putting some miles on it. So we still need to replace the engine in this thing. So I'm still waiting on Spartan to try and rebuild the engine for our ramp truck. But as you guys know, I am going to be ordering a new engine for this car. So I was thinking maybe we could also swap this engine into our ramp truck, obviously, which is going to give it a little bit more power. But yeah, I think this thing is definitely looking much better than it did when we got it first. Especially with all the chrome and stuff sorted out now. And I think once we get those wheels mounted, the ones that are on the Mustang, this thing will look a little bit more classy. Because these rims and hubcaps definitely don't suit the car as much. So we are going to be changing those very soon. But I do want to just take this thing and move it out of the way, because we are going to have to move the Lada Wagon into this position in order to start working on that. So we'll take this over to this parking spot. I'm definitely going to be driving this car from now on a bit. Alright, so there we go. Let's just put it over here in this spot. And she actually runs and drives much better now with the suspension sorted as well. So yeah, I think we did quite a bit of a decent job on this thing. It's going to be a very nice car for us to have and to drive around in. But now what I would like to do is we're going to just strip the Mustang quickly. There shouldn't be a lot of work to do to it. I think the most work on this car is basically getting the body panels and sorting those panels out on this vehicle. Mechanical wise, it doesn't look like it's too bad. We've got to still source a transmission for this thing because it's got no gearbox. And then obviously the engine that's going to go into this thing, we need to get the engine running. Right, so let's first of all start with our radiator. So I think the radiator should be fine. It still looks decent, but we are definitely going to take it out just to make sure everything is fine on the car. Right, so let's just inspect this part as we are taking it off. The lower hose also looks good, but yeah, definitely it's definitely used. So yeah, we might have to actually replace this. And I actually noticed this brake line was just the old brake line that came off the DeSoto. Alright, but yes, we are going to probably replace the whole radiator by the looks of it, because it's definitely a bit worn. In terms of battery cables, we've got to undo the battery cables like this for the battery to come out. So our battery is still decent. And then we've got the wires that came out as well, so we'll just pop these on the table. Do we even have a brake line? Because we might actually use the brake line. Yeah, we can actually use that brake line we took off the DeSoto on this thing, because this brake line is a bit nasty. Right, so we'll undo that. And then we'll undo the brake lines, the soft lines from the hard line or the main line. And that could also be, yeah, that's going to be the quick way to remove the actual cross member here as well. Alright, so that is very easily removable. Alright, so let's come around here. We're going to do the main brake line, obviously. Alright, so there's our main brake line, which we actually do have a replacement part for already. So that is, yeah, it's not the brand newest of main brake line, but it's definitely better than the one we took out. Brake reservoir looks good. Steering column looks a little bit worn on this thing. I've got no idea how the steering column comes out. We'll probably have to dive into this thing. Maybe take the carpet out. We'll be able to see this. Unless if it actually just bolts to the actual steering column here, or the steering box, which is also worn, so this actually needs to come out anyway. So we'll take this tie rod out. Right, and then yeah, this is going to be a little bit tricky. We need to figure everything out, see how it comes together. But if I'm not mistaken, we do need to take off the actual steering link for that to come off. Right, I don't see any bolts in the other places for this. Yeah, that's quite odd. We've got a bolt there for that. Right, so that's our steering column. But steering box, I don't know how this is going to come out. We'll definitely have to figure things out on this car. There's quite a lot of stuff happening. Alright, let's just check down here how this comes off. Unless if this just needs a pry tool. Or the other side, I don't know if this just needs a pry tool. Or maybe the bolts are just a little bit sticking into this thing. Alright, so I managed to find a secondary bolt on this steering box. It's definitely a little bit hidden, so yeah, things might be a little bit easier if we get new parts to fit onto this thing. But yes, the steering arm is also not the best. The steering box is definitely looking bad, so that needs to be swapped out. Alright, so looking at the steering column, we've got a fairly worn steering column. We're going to see if we can get this steering wheel removed. Right, the steering wheel is also not looking the best. So luckily these are interior bits, so we'll see if we can start figuring out interior panels as well for this thing as we are getting body panels. The tie rods, actually this one doesn't look too bad. Haven't had a look at this one yet. Alright, so let's have a look at this. It's also still usable. We can definitely reuse that. And the steering link itself isn't too bad also. So I'm quite happy with that condition of that. Alright, so I think let's quickly have a little bit of an investigation with regards to the interior panels over here on the vehicle. But I do want to quickly unbolt this master cylinder, just check this out. Alright, so that looks decent, so we can just put that back into the car. We'll just get it bolted down again. But in terms of interior, this carpet looks decent. We've got a nice looking headliner, doesn't look too bad. We've got a, yeah, definitely a good driver's seat and passenger seat. And the gear link also, or the gear shifter, doesn't look too bad also. Pedals look decent, so we just need to get that steering column, and then this interior will be sorted out. I don't think there is a back seat available for this car yet, but yeah, we're definitely going to need a little bit more parts. So let's just check here. We're going to do the wheels and tires. Obviously, we're going to remove these all. And I actually should strip the front suspension too. So that rim is definitely used quite a bit. Right, so let's get our brake caliper off. Brake caliper looks decent. We'll just pop it down there for now. Right, let's move over to the other side quickly. Let's just remove this wheel. Oh, that wheel looks a little bit better than the other one we took off. Right, so here's our brake caliper for that corner. It's definitely a little bit worn, but it still works. Alright, so I think it's time to dig into this front suspension of the Ford Mustang. So let's see if we take this wheel off. And it's probably going to be rolling around a bit now with the wheel still attached. So we're going to try and do this somehow. It's not the easiest, but I think once we got the one wheel off, it should be sitting a little bit still. Alright, let's get this wheel off as well. Alright, and I think we can also get this front suspension stripped a little bit further. There's our brake caliper. Alright, so we've got this brake hose that actually came off. I think I accidentally unbolted that thing, but that's fine. We'll just put it back on for now. Alright, so this is our broken caliper, which you can clearly see it's a little bit rusty. Alright, I did notice this side we've got a thin brake disc, and we also have got a worn out hub carrier, which we'll be able to probably get removed now. There we go. I think that should do the trick. Shock absorber. Yeah, these upper control arms are a little bit funny. But yeah, they should definitely do the job for us if we can just figure out how this is coming together. Right, so there's our front shock absorber, I believe. Alright, so this is definitely a learning curve for me. First time I'm working on the suspension of one of these Mustangs. Alright, so there's our lower control arm. There's our spring, which still looks decent on that side. Alright, let's tackle this side. We're going to take off the wheel hub on this with the brake disc. I wonder what the condition of this brake hub is. Okay, this hub is quite worn and the disc is worn, so that is definitely going in the bin. Right, so this shock absorber should be able to come out once we can get it loose. There we go. Right, that shock absorber is definitely a bit worn compared to the other one. Right, so there's our lower control arm and the upper one. It's also quite a bit worn. That still looks good. The hub carrier looks good though. Right, but our cross member is not in the best condition itself. So we might actually fix this up or replace this a little bit. Alright, so what I want to do now is we're going to quickly just check this one brake disc. Alright, I was looking for my screwdriver, but I found it. It was on the table over there. Alright, so let's quickly have a look at this brake disc. Yeah, the brake disc is also a bit worn. That one is very thin. This wheel hub is also a bit worn, so we might have to replace those as well. Right, let's start with the rear suspension here. So we've got our brake disc at the back, which is also quite worn. And then we'll take this one off. It's also similar condition, so the brakes, they look like they sort of wore out together, which is quite normal actually if everything is wearing off the way that it should. Alright, and this wheel hub. Yeah, see, that's the thing. Everything is in that condition where you struggle to decide whether you want to replace it or if you're going to just reuse it again. Right, so this hub, yeah, that would be classified as a good hub in my opinion. Right, so let's see, we've got shock absorbers. Yeah, see, once again, those are basically halfway worn. This shock absorber looks good, so we don't really have to order everything. And another thing to consider is maybe some of these parts we even obviously replaced at some point. Right, so let's get this axle removed, just like that. Right, so the axle itself is also a bit worn. We'll just get this handbrake cable off, and then we'll also check the differential. Right, handbrake cable, it's still decent. I would reuse it like that. Right, let's have a look at this differential. The rear axle itself is quite decent. Alright, so I'm convinced the differential is still good enough and the rear axle is also still decent. So we're not going to go ahead and replace that. So we'll just put that back onto the car once we have investigated the leaf springs, obviously. So let's just see how well these leaf springs are. Yeah, no, we're going to have to replace this first before we get that refitted to the car. But we can definitely get this hub back in. So I think we're just going to replace the one hub on the opposite side because that one is a little bit more worn. I don't know. It's actually, yeah, come to think of it, we could reuse it. So let's just pop that back on. Alright, and then let's check on this leaf spring quickly on this side. Yeah, this leaf spring is still good. So we'll probably get the axle refitted now with the one leaf spring on that side. Right, so let's get that bolted down over there. So that should secure the rear suspension at least, or the rear axle for now. Right, so I don't think there's anything else we really need to strip off this thing. We could probably just tighten up the bolts over there as well. Alright, we are still going to investigate the drive shaft, the condition of that, but I think there's not really much else we could really diagnose on the vehicle, because there's not a lot of parts on the vehicle. We might start tearing into the engine, but I think what I would really like to do is just make a little bit of space here now, because I want to see if I can get Grandma's Lada Wagon into the, well, parked over here so that we can start stripping it a bit. Because there's going to be quite a bit of work to that car, and I want to get those floor pans cut out. And yeah, if we can start doing that today, that'll be good. Because that way we've got a little bit of a head start with regards to working on that vehicle and getting it back into shape so that we can start thinking about selling it and making a little bit of money off of it. Alright, so but I will bring you guys back up to speed once I have sorted this all out, and yeah, when we are ready to start working on Grandma's little Lada Wagon. Alright, so we finally have Grandma's old Lada Wagon under the carport over here, so we're going to start digging into this car a bit. So I'm going to need my floor jack, obviously, because the Mustang is currently on the two-post lift, so we're going to have to wing it with our floor jack, but I've got no idea where I actually put it. Of course, there it is on the shelf outside. Alright, so what I'm thinking is we're going to start with suspension. I'm going to probably put this thing on jack stands for now, because we are going to cut the floors out, and I believe the floors actually mount to the, or the floor jacks will mount to the floor, but we're going to try and see how far we can get with this and what we need to do today. So if I could get the suspension removed off of it, then we can at least work on the floors and start cutting the floors out. So let's see if this is going to work out for us. Alright, so we've got the first jack like that, or the jack stand into place. Let's get another one on the back over here. Right, so that is good. So now if we lower this down, it should stay up on the jack stands for us to work on. And then we are also going to do the same on the opposite side, get it on jack stands, and then we can take our floor jack away again. Right, so let's get this lifted up nice and high. Let's grab another floor jack over here. Right, and we're going to grab the last floor jack. We're going to get this into position. And just like that, the car is now fully supported with jack stands. So we can start working on suspension, taking this thing apart. Luckily for us, the engine in this vehicle, radiator and all that has been redone, but we still need to do a little bit of servicing to stuff like the upper brake hose or radiator hose, as you can see. But I think everything else in this engine is fairly decent because we did rebuild it. So we are going to mainly focus on suspension work and also getting this vehicle running and driving a little bit better now. And then we're going to start talking about bodywork. So in terms of bodywork for this car, I believe there is quite a lot of aftermarket parts available to get this thing looking a little bit different and also a little bit more mean. So my idea for this car is actually I want to see if we can convert it into like a type of an off-road looking station wagon, because it's definitely going to make it a little bit more desirable for the next buyer. And then that way also, if we do decide to keep it for a bit, we can obviously use it to do awesome stuff and maybe even tow our small trailer for the time being. But yeah, the plan is that we want to definitely give grandma a little bit of money, which we are going to only get if we sell this vehicle, unless if yeah, we decide to keep it, but I don't know yet. We will have to decide later down the line. But I think what we're going to do is, as you can see, we've got some bad suspension parts. We're going to just service the front suspension and the rear suspension, obviously, and then we are going to see what we're going to do in terms of bodywork and looks for the car. So let's get this front suspension disconnected from the rest of the vehicle. So there's going to be a couple of bolts we take off, and then this thing should basically come apart. So if we just undo these 4 bolts on the cross member, just like that, as well as the ones on the brake calipers or the brake hoses, and then we should be able to get this front suspension taken out so that we can work on it. There we go, just like that. So that is our front suspension completely removed, and yeah, it's going to be a little bit easier to work on it like this, because now we can clearly see also what parts needs attention, and as we strip it, we can obviously decide what parts we're going to keep and what we need to replace. At the back, we are going to do a very similar thing. I think we're just going to start with taking off all of these control arms. So let's get this control arm out of the way for now. I think we may have actually got some decent parts here by the looks of it. Alright, so this one still looks good, but yeah, it's definitely quite a bit worn, as you can see, so we'll need to get that replaced probably. Alright, so we've got the other control arm, the upper one, which is also decent, so we don't need to replace this, but yeah, we're just going to keep digging into this and see what we find. So we do have to remove the drive shaft, because I noticed the drive shaft is definitely in a very poor state. Alright, so there's our drive shaft bolt over there. And then we are going to remove this differential just for now, so that we can be sure to have it come off. Alright, so there is the differential. It's not looking terrible, but it's definitely not brand new. And this is also just an open differential 3.8. So if we are going to be doing an off-road version of this vehicle, we're going to have to probably consider changing it to a lock differential. Alright, so let's get our suspension removed further. So we've got the upper control arm on that side, which is definitely shot. Alright, so let's see what else we've got. Very bad lower control arm over here as well. So that is also quite knackered a bit. Alright, so next up, to get this rear suspension out, we're going to undo the shock absorbers. Alright, so there's the one. That's still decent. And then, here we go, we've got our whole rear axle coming out. Okay, so we've got our springs. That spring is still decent. Right, so let's investigate further. What do we see here? We've got our shock absorber we can remove because this wheelhouse needs to be replaced anyway, as well as this wheelhouse, unless if that is a part of the actual floor. I'm not too sure. We'll definitely have a look at it once we start cutting this thing up into pieces. Gas tank we can remove from here. Got 2 bolts on the straps over there. Right, so there's our gas tank. The gas tank is definitely a bit rusty. We might have to replace that. Right, so looking at this thing further, we've got not a lot of parts left on it actually, because this car is actually very easy to strip, or these cars are actually very easy to strip. So what I think we're going to do now is we're going to probably tackle other parts on the vehicle, like the interior. I think we've got a little bit of time left for this episode, so I think let's start digging into this, and then yeah, we're going to know what parts we can buy for the vehicle, obviously. So I think let's do some interior bits next up. We're going to see how far we can get with this. Alright, so there's our passenger seat coming out now. It's definitely a well-worn seat. Alright, so crusty interior parts, we're just going to chuck them straight out. We definitely have to replace this rear seat. The rear seat is definitely looking bad. Alright, so let's go around to the other side. We're going to open this door. I think, yeah, we're going to try and reach this bolt down here. Alright, so there's the rear seat. The rear seat can definitely go onto the junk pile as well. Just like that. The driver's seat, however, looks decent. So we might actually just keep that in the car until we are done with it and have the other interior parts ready for it. We've got some decent door panels here and there by the looks of it. Let's just try and keep the parts for the wagon a little bit separate from the Mustang's parts, because otherwise I'm going to get confused. We're not going to dig into the front suspension a little bit more now. I think I'll do this off camera rather. I'll just see what parts I need, what parts are good. I'll do a similar thing that I did with the Impala's suspension. We'll sort the best parts out and just order the ones we need. This rear door panel is shot. That can go onto the junk pile as well. And let's see this door panel over here. Yeah, definitely shot. That looks bad. That can go in the trash. Right, so let's quickly check this last door panel. Doesn't look too bad. Yeah, it's definitely worn a bit, but yeah, we'll have to probably obviously buy a whole new interior for the car. Alright, so next up we're gonna probably jump in the car. We could just try and do it like this. We're gonna lean in, we're gonna undo this handbrake cable, or the handbrake lever rather. Yeah, it's also not looking too bad, but now we're gonna need a screwdriver over there, so we'll get our gear stick removed. Alright, so there's the gear stick out. Yeah, gear stick isn't looking terrible. Alright, so next up we're going to need a pry tool. Let's get this trunk opened up first. Alright, so there's our trunk. We're going to remove this interior panel. I don't know what this is called. This is Yeah, it's a rear panel or door panel for the rear. Right, so next we're going to take this trunk trim that is looking quite crusty. We're going to chuck it over on the junk pile, and then it looks like the one on the opposite side is looking a little bit better, but yeah, we're going to have to replace everything probably. Alright, so that can also just go out here for now. Alright, so in terms of interior, I don't really want to take the driver's seat out just yet. I think we might actually take the dashboard out for the time being, because the dashboard needs to be replaced. I also know the cluster is broken, so we need to replace the cluster on this. And we'll also obviously replace the glove box compartment. That is also part of the interior. Right, so the old crusty dashboard is out as well, so we'll order a new one of these and see what it's going to look like once we decide what we are doing with this vehicle on the interior. Because I'm not actually, yeah, I don't mind the beige, but the beige is a very light color and it's not really fitting for an off-road type of look we are going to be going for. The headliner on the other hand is completely gone. So that is definitely also going in the trash. So we'll just chuck it out over there. Alright, and we've got still a lot of things we can look at in this vehicle. There's definitely some more pieces of trim and stuff we might be missing. Like, just example, the B-pillar trims over here. We need to replace these. Or at least that one needs to be replaced. Yeah, this one doesn't look too bad, but as I said, I'm going to get a full new interior for this car, and I might actually change the color a little bit more fitting towards the off-road spec that I'm going to be going for. And my plan is also I want to do a 6-lug hub conversion on this vehicle, or a 5-lug hub conversion rather, so that we can get those 16-inch wheels we took off the Impala. Well, we're going to be taking them off the Impala again. Putting them on this car with some off-road tires, and I'm planning on lifting the suspension. We're going to get a couple of things we can mount to the vehicle, like a roof rack. We're going to get some off-road style bumpers. We're going to tweak this thing a little bit. We're going to see what we can get done with it and how nice it's going to be. But I think, looking at the time, we've got quite a lot of stuff done in this episode. There's definitely some things happening. We are going to start having a look at properties where we can obviously go and stay, because grandma's going to sell the house. But yeah, that is a lot of excitement still ahead for this series. So if you are enjoying it, give us a thumbs up. So yeah, also thank you very much for watching, and I do appreciate every time you guys watch the video, like the video, and also every time you comment down on the video. But yes, I think until the next time, I'm going to have to say cheerio. And if you have not yet subscribed, please consider doing so. I will see you guys in the next one. Cheerios.